Okay, in the explicit cursor, we have to define the cursor in the declare section, and in the executable section, we have to open, fetch, and close the cursor. Okay, here it will be cursor name we have to provide based on our requirement. That name will be vary. Okay, here I am taking the select ename comma salary, and same order here fetch C1 into LV underscore ename comma LV underscore salary. Suppose if I interchange this one, what will happen? So salaries, so here it is executing 5000 comma king it is came now. So in place of LV underscore ename 5000 came, LV underscore salary king it is displaying. Suppose salary is a number data type, so that instead of varchar to I will mention number, then what will happen? So it will throw the error. Okay, numeric or value error. Why? Because here we are taking the select ename comma salary from EMP, and in the fetch while fetching, so we are taking in the reverse order, so that whatever the order in this select statement, in this order only you have to take the variables also. Then only it will work. Otherwise it will throw the error. Okay. Now fetch C1 into LV underscore ename comma LV underscore salary. So what will happen now? So now if it will execute, it is working here. Previously when the varchar2 is there, then both the sides it is working. But actual scenario should be whatever the order you are taking, in that order only, in the select statement of column order is there. In that order only you have to fetch the data in the fetch statement. So if it is here varchar2 is there, then there is no issue. It will fetch the values as it is. But when it is a number data type, and here varchar2 data types are there, then same order you have to follow. Otherwise, what will happen? Ename will fetch into LV underscore salary, and salary will fetch into LV underscore ename. Then this data type will be mismatch comes, then it will throw the error. Okay. While fetching the records, you have to provide in the same order of the select statement. In the select statement, if you are taking the columns in that order only, you have to provide. So I'm using the declare statement. So declare cursor C1 is the selector ename comma salary from EMP. LV underscore ename EMP dot ename percentage type LV underscore salary EMP dot salary percentage type I'm giving. So that whatever the data type assigned in this table for this column, so that will be assigned to these local variables. Now begin open C1, fetch C1 into LV underscore ename comma LV underscore salary, and DBMS output I am writing. So these many times I am writing and closing this cursor, then I am getting the 14 records. That means to get the 14 records I am writing 14 fetch statements here. So if it is lakhs of records are there, then is it possible to write like this? Fetch C1, fetch C1 into that variable name. So you cannot write like this. So here the only thing we have to observe is in the cursor operations, whenever you are fetching the data, it will fetch in the sequential order only. Okay. Suppose if I am using only two fetch statements in this, what will happen? First two records only it is going to fetch every time. So king and black only. So whenever you execute only king and black only it is going to fetch. That means whenever you are opening the cursor, so what will happen? So cursor open the data and it will read from the starting sequential order only, it will read the data. So to fetch the multiple data, so without using multiple times of fetch, so So you have to use the looping statements. So already discussed about the looping statements. So loop means it will repeat the process, repeat the statements. Declare cursor C1 is select ename salary from EMP LV underscore ename LV underscore salary. So begin open C1 loop fetch C1 into LV underscore ename comma LV underscore salary, and after that DBMS output I am mentioning, and end loop close C1. That means this is two within this loop. These two statements will be continuously, it will repeat. So what will happen here? It will repeat continuously, and after some time it is in the last record continuously it is repeating, and then after that memory error it is came, buffer overflow error, and application is terminated. Why? Because this is the infinite loop. We are not written any exit statement here. Okay. So when to come out of this loop, we are not defined. So in the infinite loop, it is giving the error. We have to use the finite loop only. So finite loop in the means exit condition we have to provide when to exit this that we have to provide. For that we can use this declare cursor C1 is select ename salary from EMP. That means a cursor name is select start from. This is the syntax we are following the cursor syntax, cursor defining syntax here, and variables we are defining LV underscore ename, LV underscore salary. In the executable section, that is begin and between the begin and end, we are opening the cursor, open C1, after that loop. So in the loop, we are fetching the cursor values into these local variables. So fetching the cursor records into these local variables, fetch C1 into LV underscore ename, comma LV underscore salary, exit when C1 percentage not found. Okay, this is the explicit cursor attribute percentage not found. If it is a SQL is there in place of C1, then it is called as a implicit cursor attribute. If it is any other than SQL, if anything is there, then it is called as the explicit cursor attribute. So we are telling that exit when C1 is C1 percentage not found, and after that printing the ename and salary and loop. After that close cursor, close C1. Okay. So when I execute this one, so this is executing and getting the records from this 14 records. After that, it is terminating. Program is exiting. So in the explicit cursor, we are defining the cursor name here, and also we are using the exit condition in this loop here. Without this exit condition, what will happen? Loop will be continuously repeated, and you will get the application error, rise application error, buffer overflow error. It will come and it will execute in between. Okay. Declare cursor C1 is select ename, comma employee number from EMP. So in the previous example, I have taken the two variables. Now I am only taking one variable, LV underscore EMP underscore cursor is the variable name I am taking. C1 percentage row type. Okay. So initially we have explained the percentage type and percentage row type. Percentage type for the single column. Percentage row type means for entire one record. So it will also enter one record values. So here LV underscore EMP underscore cursor C1 percentage row type. This is the variable we have defined. What we call as a cursor variable or cursor based record. Begin, open C1 loop, fetch C1 into LV underscore ename, LV underscore employee number. Previously we have used it like this, but now we are using fetch C1 into only this variable LV underscore EMP underscore cursor variable. Okay, see the difference here. Previous example we are using the fetch C1 into two variable names we are mentioning employee number, employee name, employee number, or employee name, salary we are taking in that. So there we are mentioning the two variables, and while fetching also we are mentioning the two variables. Fetch C1 into these variable names. But here only one variable we are taking based on that cursor based record. So here fetch C1 into LV underscore EMP underscore cursor, exit when C1 percentage not found, and DBMS output we are writing. Suppose without the loop, first I will try what will happen. So I'll use this. I don't want to use this. And loop also I'm closing. So without the loop, when I execute this one, what will happen? It is getting the first record. Every time it is getting the first record only. Okay. So now what I will do? So I will use this loop. So now if I execute, what will happen? So until the how many records are there in the table, these many times it will loop will be repeated, and after that it will exit. Okay. So in the sequential order, what it will do? First it will fetch the record and it will print the record, and again it will repeat the loop until cursor value not found. So same can be used here. One more example with this. Declare cursor C1 is select star from EMP1. I am taking the entire columns here, entire data from the EMP table into this cursor, and I am declaring the one variable I variable I C1 percentage row type. This is the also cursor based recorder. Okay. So after that, in the executable section, open C1 loop, fetch C1 into I. So I'm fetching the entire data into this one variable, that is I variable. So after that, I'm printing the variable details using the DBMS output underscore line of I dot employee number. So see here. So I'm using the cursor based variable so that all the columns in this employee table will be come into this variable. So that I'm using the I dot employee number, concatenate I dot ename, I dot job, I dot mgr, I dot high dot, I dot salary, I dot commission, I dot department number. So now where I have mentioned in this all the column names, I have mentioned only select star from EMP1 in the cursor. Cursor C1 is select star from EMP1. One variable I am defining as a cursor based variable. In that I am fetching the records using this fetch C1 into I, and using the DBMS output I am printing this cursor based variables into this I dot employee number, I dot ename. All the columns I am printing here. Okay. So here it is printing the all the values here. Employee number, employee name, job type, hire date. That is here. Manager is not there for the president. So that it is number is not present. After that, hire date, salary, commission also not there for the king, and department number. Suppose I don't want all the records, then I can remove up to this. Then I only use this one. These columns only. Is it possible? Here I'm taking the select star, and in the output I'm using only few columns. Okay. So because whatever the cursor holds, that information now I am stored into this local variable I. So based on that, I am printing only required information here. Suppose if I am taking here employee number, ename, job, comma, IDET, comma, DEPT number. So only these many columns I am taking. Then what will happen? So when I execute, all the columns, whatever the columns we have selected here in the cursor, it will come into this variable. It is getting the output here. So you can add hide date also if required here. I have not added. Okay. So, but if the column which is not present in this, if you want to include commission column is there. So if I want to include here, it will come. So I add, then this one, I dot CYM, commission column. So then what will happen? It will throw the error. Commission must be declared here. Okay. So why? Because in the cursor we are having only these many columns. So commission column we have not considered, so that it is throwing the error. Suppose instead of this, if I use the select star, then this error will not occur. Okay, this error is not occurring. But when it is coming means when you are using the specific columns, and if this column is not in this, and if you are using in this output, then it is throwing the error. Okay. So you should be aware that whatever the columns you are using, that columns only we have to use in this output also, or in the wherever you are performing any operation, in that only these columns, cursor columns means only now these many 5 columns only it is considered. Suppose if you are selecting select star from EMP1, then all the 8 columns will come into this cursor C1. Okay, and we are defining the I variable as a cursor based variable, so that whatever in this column, so it is there in this now 8 columns, so that will come into this I variable also. And same thing with the declare cursor C1 select star from EMP1 I EMP percentage row type. So in the above example, we are taking the I as the C1 percentage row type, that is cursor based. Here I am taking the EMP table based. EMP percentage row type, that means the table based record. This is the table based record. Begin open C1, loop fetch C1 into I, exit when C1 percentage not found. If I dot salary greater than 2000, then DBMS output I salary and salary I am printing. And if end loop close C1 end. Here I am not printing the employee details. I am checking the salary. If it is greater than 2000, then I am printing the high salary. So if you want, you can add the employee name also here. It is the employee name, concatenate, ename. It is I dot ename we have to mention. After that, concatenate. High salary. And this one. So what will happen when I execute this one? So here employee name also it is printing along with this only salary, high salary value. Okay. So how can we add this? Because we already considered here select star from, so that what are the required columns, that columns you can use in this statements here. Suppose if I say I'm taking only salary column here. Okay, only salary column. Then what will happen? I dot salary. So then it will throw the error. Employee name, it will throw the error. Why? Because it is not in this. So that we have to remove this one. So I'll use up to this only. Then it will execute it properly. Here also it is throwing the error. Why? Because wrong number of values in the into list of the fetch statement. I'm only taking one column, here also one column, but still it is throwing the error. Why? Because here the variable I we are mentioning is the EMP percentage row type. So that in this all the 8 columns it is there, and we are here in the fetch statement, we are getting only one variable value, so that it is throwing the error. So to avoid that, we have to either remove this row type EMP dot salary percentage. You can mention
The what type of flat row?
line number 9. Okay, what will happen here? It is going to only one variable. Okay, invalid reference for the variable I. So you can define here as the, if you define as the varchar towards a number, then what will happen here? Number data type. Then also it will throw the error. Why? Because so it is holding the, here we are having the multiple data here. You are getting the multiple data, and this variable holds only at a time one variable only, so that we are getting the error. Instead of that, we can use the C1 percentage row type. So now this is not a table based record, this is the cursor based record. Okay, so now you can execute this one, then it is getting the output here. So based on the values we are considering for the cursor, and based on the variables we are defining, we have to declare the variables here. You can choose the variables in this output statement. Okay, so when I am defining it as a EMP percentage row type, that means in the employee table how many columns are there, these many columns it will hold in this I variable. But here in the cursor what we are taking only one column now, so that it is throwing the error. So if you take the cursor also, select start from EMP, and you are defining the table based record I EMP percentage row type, then it will executing. So that means based on the variable declaration also, you will get whether the proper output or not. So if you are taking the EMP here, cursor is taking the EMP1, and you are defining the another table here, EMP1. Because both the tables are same, so that it is giving the output here. Suppose if I take DEPT, what will happen here? It is throwing the error. Why? Because DEPT contains the department number, department name, and location. 3 columns only it is holds. Whereas in the employee table it is containing the 8 columns. The column mismatch is there, so that it is giving the error, wrong number of values in the into list to fetch the statement. Component salary must be declared. That means this column is not there in this department, so that it is throwing the error. So while declaring the variables also, you should be careful. So how we are defining, whether it is a single variable we are defining, or table type variable we are defining, or cursor based variable we are defining, that must be, you have to careful. So what type of variable we need, that we have to define in this declare section. Suppose I want to transfer data from one table to another table. So I'll create extra tables here. So create table xxcmp underscore 30. So already it is there. Okay. 3004 I'll create. So table got created. So now I'll create one more table for this department also. So I have created the two tables. Is there any data in these tables? Anyone?
No, sir.
Right. Why? Because we are using the where clause condition here, where 1 is equals to 2. That means only structure will be copied to the new table. So there will not be any data copied to the new table. So now I want to copy the data from one table to another table using the cursor. So how can we? We can define like this. Declare cursor C1 is select star from EMP. EMP percentage flow type I am taking. Begin open C1, loop fetch C1 into I. Exit when C1 percentage not found. DBMS output, employee number, employee name, all the details I am printing. After printing, what I am doing? Insert into xxemp underscore 3004. In this table, I am inserting the records. So how we are inserting here? Insert into new table name and column names you are mentioning values I dot employee number, I dot ename, I dot mgr, I dot high dot, like that. All the column names you are mentioning. After that, end loop. Close C1, commit. So now this, if you verify this, is the records inserted into the new table. So how will you verify that? Select start from xx underscore emp underscore 3004. So data is inserted here. So how we are inserted? Using the cursor. We have taken the cursor and reading the data from the cursor, and after that using the insert statement we are inserting these records. So how all the records it is? First we fetched into this I variable. This is the table type variable. In this table type variable, we have fetched all the data. After that, one by one, records were inserted in the loop here. So if you are not using the loop here, what will happen? Only first record will be inserted into the new table. So I want to transfer the two tables data into another two tables at a time. Okay. So I'll truncate this data. Truncate the xx underscore dept underscore 4004. So now both the tables don't have the values now here. I am going to insert the new records into this. So there is no data now. So how will you insert using the two cursors? You have to define two cursors. and open the cursor and fetch the details into one by one cursor. So declaring the cursor 1, cursor 2, cursor C1 is select star from EMP, cursor C2 is select star from DEPT I am taking. I EMP percentage row type J, department DEPT percentage row type. 2 table type based variables records I am taking here. Begin DBMS output underscore line of employee details starts and printing the statement where it is starting of the program like that. So open C1, loop fetch C1 into I, exit when C1 percentage not found. So DBMS output underscore line of I dot employee number, I dot ename, all the variables I am printing here. So after printing, I am using the insert statement, insert into XXEMP underscore 3004. So after that, here I am printing the total number of rows inserted and commit close C1. So after that, employee details and here I am mentioning, and after that, department details starts. So here in this, if you observe, cursor 1, C1 is closed here. So after closing the C1, I am opening the cursor C2, loop, fetch C2 into J, exit when C1 percentage, not C1, C2. C2 percentage not found. And in the DBMS output, J dot department number, J dot dename, J dot location. We are printing the values of this. And after that, insert into XXDEPT underscore 3004. In this table, I am going to insert this department number, department name, location. Values using the J variable. So total number of rows inserted, C2 percentage row count, close C2. After that, we are counting the records and department details and here. So we are using the two cursors here. In this, we are defining the two cursors. Based on the two cursors, we are inserting the data into two other tables. So data is inserted. If you see here, it is employee details starts. It is printing all the employee details. After that, employee details and department details start. Department details and here. Total number of rows inserted 4. Here it is 14. So some other examples will continue tomorrow. So the time is not permitted, so only 1 minute. We'll continue tomorrow with some other examples in this cursors. Any doubts?